I think, therefore I am. Anyone who has ever taken even one introduction to philosophy course has heard this phrase. In it, René Descartes meant to express the one truth he was convinced could not be questioned skeptically, the immediate certainty of our existence, the first principle underlying all human activity in this world. Indeed, he believed that he had found something of the sort, that he had discovered a kind of fundamental law at the core of human existence, which is true under all circumstances as something that exists as constantly and necessarily as a law of nature. But later philosophy revealed something of which Descartes was probably unaware, that his fundamental theorem rested on a certain unwarranted prejudice. I think, therefore I am. This sentence contains the presupposition that it is me who thinks, that it is me who performs the activity of thinking, that it is me who just now causes the activity I call thinking to take place in my body. But what is this me? What am I? Where does this I reside in the brain, and what does it look like? There are no answers to these questions. This is because in reality there is no I. In the 19th century, Friedrich Nietzsche was the one who came forth with his criticism of Descartes' famous theorem. Infamous for his critique of almost everything that was considered by most to be an unquestionable immediate certainty in philosophical thinking, even Descartes did not escape the hammer of Nietzsche's thoroughgoing skepticism. In his 1886 work Beyond Good and Evil, Nietzsche deconstructs and criticizes Descartes' dictum in the following way. When I dissect the process expressed in the proposition I think, I get a whole set of bold claims that are difficult, perhaps impossible, to establish. For instance, that I am the one who is thinking, that there must be something that is thinking in the first place, that thinking is an activity and the effect of a being who is considered the cause, that there is an I, and finally, that it has already been determined what is meant by thinking, that I know what thinking is. He continues his critique in the next aphorism, where he writes, a thought comes when it wants, not when I want. It is therefore a falsification of the facts to say that the subject I is the condition of the predicate think. It thinks. But to say the it is just that famous old I, well, that is just an assumption or opinion, to put it mildly, and by no means an immediate certainty. In fact, there is already too much packed into the it thinks. Even the it contains an interpretation of the process and does not belong to the process itself. People are following grammatical habits here in drawing conclusions, reasoning that thinking is an activity, behind every activity something is active, therefore. Nietzsche argues that the idea we have of our thinking minds is distorted by the basic grammatical structure of language. In the grammar of language, it is customary to divide processes and activities into the subject and the predicate, that is, into the one who performs the activity and the activity itself. This is exactly the case in the sentence I think. There is the subject I who performs the activity or the predicate of thinking. The grammatical structure of language is set up in such a way that for every activity or process it needs an originator who causes it. All languages in the world are built on the structure of the same basic categories by means of which our reason interprets reality. That is, concepts such as cause, effect, substance, accident, identity, equal, etc. These categories are directly translated into grammar, and we then interpret the world around us, as well as the world within us, through grammar. And so arises, according to Nietzsche, the superstition of the subject and of the I, or of the I that must cause thinking because otherwise we cannot imagine it. But according to Nietzsche, reality is different. In reality, there is no fixed subject, no I that performs the process of thinking. There is only thinking, only process and activity. Because why should there be a subject? Why does the process of thinking have to have an I that causes it? The answer that Nietzsche puts forth is, it doesn't. Thinking is a process happening on its own, and we misconstrue the I as its cause only afterwards. A quantum of force is just such a quantum of drive, will, action. In fact, it is nothing but this driving, willing, and acting, and only the seduction of language and the fundamental errors of reason petrified within it, which construes and misconstrues all actions as conditional upon an agency, a subject, can make it appear otherwise. But there is no such substratum. There is no being behind the deed, its effect, and what becomes of it. The doer is invented as an afterthought. The doing is everything. In Nietzsche's view, we are activities without agents. We are sets of dynamic, instinctive processes of which our body consists, and from which our conscious thinking gradually emerges as its thin skin on the surface. Our true self, or as Nietzsche calls it in German, das Selbst, is our body, that unconscious dark flow of vital energies from which our thoughts spontaneously emerge. Our body is our great reason, for which what we commonly call in language the I is a mere toy. We are always in the process of becoming without ceasing. We are not beings or substances, we are processes. Processes without a cause, unfolding like waterfalls in nature. No fixed I is needed to be the cause of the process that we are. The process is all there is. If you like this video, please give a like and subscribe. And if you would like to support this channel, you can do so at buymeacoffee.com. The link is in the description.